Be the Talk, episode 344, featuring Nick Oji. Welcome to Be the Talk. We go behind the talk 7 days a week for tips and techniques to help you change the world. I'm Nathan Eckel, and a talker myself. I'm interviewing others who change the world with their talk. You can too, even if you've never given a talk before. Let's get started with today's show. We are live with Nick Oji. Nick, are you ready to talk?
I am ready to go.
Nick Oji was born to a Nigerian father and Russian mother in New Haven, which resulted in many stimulating racial and cultural experiences. Thus began Nick's quest to help you address the nagging issues like how to drive today without cussing anyone out, or perhaps in my case, how to do podcasting without cussing anyone out. This is just an interesting, colorful day. Nick Oji, welcome to the talk.
It's my pleasure being here, Nathan. Been looking forward to it.
Your talk is called A Bridge to Fuller Living. And you mentioned in the talk, the opposite of play is not work, it's depression. And it's so important to keep a playful attitude at the center of adult life. I just no coincidence. I've listened to about 4 of Jane McGonigal's talks on play, famous TED Talks on play today. Nick Oji, welcome to the talk.
Thank you so much, sir.
Well, I am looking forward to what you're going to say about play and how vital it is in our lives. I know I salute you for your talk because it's just very transparent, very brave, and you've opened up about a lot of your struggles, and you've opened up about the necessity of play in life to be able to navigate some of the issues that really we all have. More and more of us are encountering more anxiety, depression, mental health issues. And I love how you put a spin on that and really make it all about playing games and helping our mental health through the mechanism of play. So, Nick, please take us behind the talk.
Well, Nathan, I'm a middle-aged guy. And when you become an adult, you have these responsibilities, bills to pay, and then kids start coming along. You've got a job to keep down, sometimes 2 or 3 of them. We all go through that experience of adulting. And sooner or later, you just get bogged down with the responsibilities of life. And when you hear the word play, you think of probably going on a merry-go-round or a swing or a seesaw, and you think, oh, I'm too old for that. But play is not that. Play is just facing life with enthusiasm and breaking up the mundane experiences of the routine with stuff you already enjoy doing, whether that's music or whether that's sports or whether that's dancing, hanging out with friends, doing cool stuff. That's what play is all about. And when you incorporate it into your existence as it is, it rocks your world. That's what it's about.
Well, and I love how you demonstrated it because you came walking on stage. I don't know, what was that, a djembe or a hand drum or what did you have there? And you just started beating on that thing and totally shifted the energy of the whole place.
Oh, thank you. I was pretty scared, by the way, because I am a rock and roll drummer, like the traditional kid. So that was already stretching me beyond my comfort zone, but it was play, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, and you play the drum quite well. I mean, there's a song, I don't want to work, I want to bang on my drum all day. And it was it kind of reminded me of that. So, I mean, I know that I forget the exact quote, but it's like, you become old not when you become chronologically old. It's when you stop playing and when you stop
Correct.
having a playful attitude. So share some of your thoughts on that.
Well, so my personal story, which I'm sure most people can identify with, was with all the responsibilities of life going on. At a point, I was working 3 jobs, had 3 kids, had all these bills to pay, things to take care of. I just did not have time for myself. I wasn't making that time. And when I sat down to look at my calendar, I couldn't block out 2 hours to go do something cool. I needed to find a way to take that stress, the challenges, the thoughts that, my God, I'm breaking down. I had to find a way to get rid of that. And for me, I accidentally came across drumming. It wasn't something I planned. I had a friend who was a fantastic drummer. I went to one of his performances. At the end, I went up to shake his hand, and he said, "Hey, would you mind if I show you a few licks?" I was really being polite when I said, "Sure." And it was so cool. From then on, I could not stop. So every day, whenever I could spare 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I would just bang on the drums and let go. And I would always leave there feeling energized, feeling like I had rested, like I had taken the stress and channeled it into something else. So I found myself becoming young again, Nathan. You know, then I was in my 30s. I felt like I was probably a whole lot, you know, I felt like I was much older. You know, I was dealing with health challenges, mental challenges. So this was a breakthrough for me. I accidentally stumbled upon, and that's what the talk is all about.
I love it. And I don't know, something about the drums and something about growing up in the early 80s and whatnot. I'm thinking images, the Muppet Show with Animal was the drummer. I mean, what a great image that is.
You know, Nathan, you have these cool headphones. I can see you as Animal. I can actually see you banging away at the drums.
Well, that was my nickname in phys ed class for other reasons. I won't get into that, but I had a weird group of guys in the phys ed class, so I've been called that before. Nick, before we pivot over to the blitz round in a moment, what's your final word for why we should pick up the drums or find something else that we like to do and just absolutely play at it?
Wow, Nathan, there are so many benefits. I mean, health-wise, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, you become a happier person. I can tell you from my own life, my wife started enjoying our marriage a whole lot more. My kids wanted to be around me because I was snapping less. I was more productive at work. My outlook to life became positive, all by just taking a few moments in a day to recharge. Play is about recharging by doing something you enjoy.
Well, we are enjoying this talk with Nick Oji. His talk is called A Bridge to Fuller Living, and we're going to pivot over to you, Talk Universe, in just a moment when we enter the Blitz round. Hey, Talk Universe. I hope you've been enjoying today's episode with today's guest. But you know what? Many people want more than that. Many people that listen to Be the Talk actually want to give a talk. And if that's you, you're not alone. Listen to the rest of this podcast. At the end, I'll have a free resource for you just for listening. And we are back with the Blitz Round with Nick Oji. His talk is called A Bridge to Fuller Living, and I am going to ask Nick a series of either-or questions related to the preparation and performance of his recent talk. Are you ready, Nick?
I am ready, Nathan.
First question, were you invited to speak or did you apply?
I had to apply, and it was a gruesome process.
Oh, it is. What's your advice to other people to help them get accepted?
Don't give up. This was not my first time of applying. I had applied before, and my idea at that time was not polished enough. I had to go back to the drawing board, do some thinking, and I had to actually tweak my message to fit the TED audience. So I would say don't give up, keep working on it, and use professionals, Nathan, like yourself, to get some coaching so that what you're doing fits into the format for TED.
Yeah. Well, when you stepped up to the plate, were you a memorizer, improviser, or blender?
Naturally, I am an improviser, but for the TED Talk, I had to become a memorizer. So practically everything was memorized. I practiced like crazy, Nathan. I was practicing for an hour to two a day until you could wake me up at any time of the day and I will blurt everything out. However, Nathan, when the thing became part of my memory, it kind of became easy for me to be in the moment and enjoy it. I did not feel like I was reciting stuff from a book. I felt it was part of me and I was just sharing an experience in the moment.
Well, Talk Universe, what Nick's talking about right now, whenever I have someone who is an actor or performing artist or in television or something like that, they understand this principle of you memorize it so that you can do exactly what Nick says, be able to be in the moment. Even though you have a script and you're essentially reading from the script, that doesn't get in the way. Instead, it enhances your ability to get in the moment. So that makes me really happy to hear that you worked so hard on that it really became part of you as opposed to an artificial appendage that you brought to the stage. That's when you know you did it right. Nick, what's a tip, tool, or technique that helped you besides that?
I think it was recording myself using my smartphone and replaying it so that I could watch myself. That helped me a whole lot, Nathan. When I started watching myself, I noticed idiosyncrasies, things I unintentionally was doing that I needed to change, tweak, stop. So that was a big deal for me.
Yeah, and that's another boss best practice right there is watch yourself on video because you see all those idiosyncrasies. It's so much easier when we see them from the camera because it doesn't lie, and then we can change it. And then, as you mentioned, if you have a coach or someone like that who is helping you, who you're investing in, who is invested in telling you the hard truth as opposed to, breaking a friendship or something like that. It's really important to invest for that reason. They will tell you that if you haven't gotten it already. Nick, what was the most painful part of your talk that you had to cut out for time?
Wow. I mean, there were a bunch of things, Nathan, but I think for me, it was cutting down on what I thought were important statistics for people to know. I realized that a part of the TED audience and people in general want tangible proof. And I wanted to come in with a lot of intimidating numbers, percentages, hours. And my coaches through the process said, look, you've got a limited amount of time. You don't want to bore people, or you don't want them so focused on the numbers and trying to jot down this information that they're not in the moment. You want to be relatable. You want them to enjoy the experience. In fact, one of my coaches, Nathan, said, this is a talk about play. Make it playful. It sounds too academic. Hence the idea of coming up with the drums and having a good time. So that was painful for me, Nathan, cutting out what I thought were important statistics.
Well, that's fun because I wouldn't, a talk on play. Well, a talk on play, you do need to come armed with statistics. Apparently, you had so many.
Yes,
you're doing your research when the organizers are telling you, hey, too many boring statistics. Just play and do what you're doing. So that's a great tactic, actually. It brings so much data that the organizers tell you that's too much. You can't tell the data anymore, which is great. Well, we have been having this enjoyable conversation with Nick Oji. His talk is called A Bridge to Fuller Living. And you can watch that talk on our website, BeTheTalk.com. If you don't want to type that into YouTube, we will have a link right there, as well as we will also have a LinkedIn link so that you can connect with Nick on LinkedIn.
That was a tongue twister.
Yeah, I said that backwards. You can link in with Nick on LinkedIn that way. We're going to be right back with Nick Oji and the final word of advice in just a moment. Hey, Talk Universe, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you want to give the talk to change the world, but you don't know how or even where to start, no problem at all. Go to BeTheTalk.com/get accepted for my new 5-day email course that'll show you how. Absolutely free. Just go to BeTheTalk.com/get accepted. And we're back. It's time for the final word of advice with Nick Oji.
Well, Nathan, I think my final thought on this issue would be, if you are thinking today about giving a talk, make it about something that is intrinsically part of you. The first time I applied to give a TED Talk, I was kind of focused on what I thought would be blitzy and catchy and stuff that I wasn't really connected with, but I thought most people in the United States and over the world would want to hear about this. And so there was not an authenticity. The next time around in this talk about play and how it impacts you was something I had lived, Nathan, something I had experienced that had transformed my life. And I was so excited. I wanted the world to be part of this. And I think that passion, that authenticity was what made the organizers feel, wow, this is a great talk. We need this. And that's my recommendation to anybody, Nathan. Be authentic. Talk about something that you are passionate about, you've experienced, and that you can talk about at any time of the day without having to consult someone else's textbook.
Great advice from Nick Oji. Thank you so much, Nick, for coming on the show today and sharing your wisdom with Talk Universe. Thanks for listening to Be the Talk. For tips and resources to help you change the world, go to BeTheTalk.com. See you tomorrow.